Good morning. Saturday morning here. I'm sitting with Mr. Kipp Koeppel, my boss and partner at the Brothers That Just Do Gutters Austin. Today, we're going to talk to you a little bit about the success that we feel we're having. And thanks for joining me this morning, Kipp.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be on here, talk about what's going on, what's coming, what's happening.
So, you've been doing gutters officially a little bit over 2 years now, right? 2.5?
Right.
2 years?
Yeah.
Where are we
Two and a
at?
half years.
2.5 years.
Mhm.
And how do you feel about the success you've had in 2.5 years of being in the gutter business?
Well, I mean, it's obviously going from zero to where we are today. I think it's quite an incredible story. I would say that, a lot of the success along the way. So number one, obviously being in the right market. I won't ever deny that we're in a great market here in Austin, Texas. So we're in a great market. We have a lot of opportunity here, lots of different things going on. But I've been very fortunate to have, gotten the right market. Initially, get in with some initial training, learn the business, learn the industry with some remedial help, and then kind of move on to what does that really look like in practice. So we've taken our lumps along the way, but we've had a lot of success along the way. And I think one of the things that I feel very good about is just being able to attract the right people to the company. Starting off kind of doing everything yourself and trying to figure things out. It's a hard road, but as you push through it and kind of get to it, and people see what it is that you're building, then they can kind of really appreciate your vision and what you're going for. So, been a very good run.
Absolutely. So 2.5 years in the business, quite different than the amount of time I've spent in the business. Starting from a grunt, 24, almost 25 years ago, sweeping floors to now, being held accountable by somebody like you that's teaching me all kinds of new things at different levels of the business, which is really fun. So I think the funnest part or the coolest part about this is how we have two completely different levels of gutter experience, but we mesh really well and we see the same vision. And that is absolutely, for this conversation, your vision. So I'd like to reflect a little bit upon the success that we've had. I'd like to just start off with some of that. And let's talk about some of the key achievements and milestones. And I'll talk about that a little bit as your manager. That I think one of the things we constantly are talking about openly, right, is our year-end goal. You've been very good at setting us up for success by knowing where exactly we want to be by the end of the year. And we start talking about that immediately at the beginning of the year, and we'll start talking about this for 2024. And I think that that's a really exciting conversation to have in the midst of all the employees in our meetings and stuff like, hey, we want to do X amount of revenue and really start to break that down piece by piece. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why we have that goal, that number set for the whole year, and then how we kind of break that down so that it's manageable?
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, the only way we've achieved the success we have is to set a goal and go for it. Doesn't mean we've always hit our goals, but you have to have a goal to go for. So that number one, have goals, set those forth. And then, budgeting and goal process are hand in hand. So, we know what we want to do, but let's, break that down into small bites, like you were saying. So here's my big number, end of the year number. All right. So how do I get to that by backing it into, all right, what does my month look like? What does my week look like? And what does that mean my day looks like? And that, you break it up into what is revenue. So to get revenue in, I have to have sales. So what does it mean to get sales, right? So how many sales per day at what ticket means that I can get to my monthly goal, and then later on to my yearly goal. And the same thing with the installers on the production side, right? So we say, we want sales and production to be, obviously we want sales a little bit higher than production. Things happen, it's going to fall off. So we're going to shoot for a higher sales number than a production number. But they're both, once you take that information and say, this is my number, do I have the right equipment? Do I have enough people? Do I have all the things to do that? Is my marketing spend going to be enough to get the leads that I need to do? Are we taking the actions, like you say, to go beyond just our marketing spend and like what our community actions are. Are we
Yes.
engaging in the community? Are we doing all those things? So all of that goes into coming up with a number. And so you got your sales number, you got your production number. That's your, what we call the top line number, or whatever you want to call it. And then on the back end of that is like, all right, what's it going to cost me to get there? Can I do this and make money? At the end of the day, we want to have a profitable business. It gives us the ability to invest in other things, invest in our people, invest in equipment, invest in experiences. We're really big on investing experiences with our guys. So that's, honestly, that's the background of how you get to the number, and then how do we execute on it, I think is more what we're going to talk about is like, so we know the numbers, we know what we're going to do. How do we execute, right?
Yeah. So give me a, let's let the people watching this know a couple of our milestones. We're really excited about what we've done, and I feel comfortable in talking about that if you do. Let's just talk about, why don't you pick a milestone or two that maybe you didn't think were going to happen even prior to me. Let's talk about your first year as well as the second year, but what's like a big milestone that you feel has been like the backbone of the continued excitement that we have?
Break even's very,
Break even. I love it. That's really important, right?
When you start a business, and even with the franchise model, it's not automatic. You have to build a plan, execute the plan. You have to build your team. You have to build the community awareness, all these different things. And that takes time. So you may hear some people say, well, yeah, you can be cash flow positive in 4 months. That's just not, there's no way you can do that. If you're really building something other than just a storage unit with one truck, that it just doesn't work like that. What we're building here is a company that's going to exist in the long term. A lot of that. So we're not going for just let's have one truck and make money with that. It's like, how do we scale that? So a lot of the thoughts that go into what that really looks like is, all right, milestones. All right, so you get your first truck, you get a machine. The guys at the supply house laugh at you a little bit, and you're like, you're gonna start a gutter company. Okay, sure. And then you start to have success. So, again, you take your lumps in the beginning. You do your best to learn. You're learning on the job in a lot of ways. If you don't have somebody like you on the team, you're starting out with very little experience. You do have background and support, but you still, unless there's somebody on the ground with you, walking you through everything, it's just, you got to learn it, right?
Yeah.
So you go from having 2 green guys to having enough success that somebody with some experience comes on board. And that kind of changes the game for you. So you've got some, gutter knowledge coming on board. You're making sure that the guys understand things. You're like giving you tips on the right tools and things on that. So, going from 1 truck to 2 trucks with somebody with experience to the point where, you're having success in sales. People are seeing the branding, seeing all that. And then you get to 2 trucks. So milestones, right? 1 truck, can be anywhere from 10 to 15,000 in revenue per week. Mm-hmm. That's great. But then when you get to 2, same thing. You're kind of doubling that every time you add another truck. So it was huge getting to 2. And then summer of 22, we got 3 trucks. And we were running 3 trucks. It was, I wouldn't say summer of 22, it was August, September, and October. Because summer, summer's slow here in Texas.
Summer lasts forever.
But
it slowly leaves.
Yeah. So you go to 3, and then from our brand perspective, we were starting to show some serious success within the brand. They're like, all right, who's this guy in Austin, and what's he doing there? Mm-hmm. And I think maybe even you noticed that, just some perspective on that, right? So but to get to the point where you have enough revenue to bring on somebody like you with your experience, 25 years in the game, it's a game changer, right? So I'm no longer trying to figure out, can we do this? It's like, I know we can do it, but do we want to do it? And that's a big milestone when you change from just taking whatever you can to being able to say, maybe we don't want to do that project. Maybe and the reasons for that are X, Y, and Z, Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, so you've got milestones from the growth of the business. And then obviously financially, there are milestones. We've been very blessed with our financial success. Last year we had a number, and this year we're going to do almost 60% more than that. I mean, it's
Pretty
I
wild.
think, and yeah, so year over year, and I'll be honest, our first year out, we were 3 months open, we did $70,000. You know, and you're going, did I do the right thing? You know,
You know what's funny, Kip? Obviously, let's talk about that for just a brief minute here. Like $70,000 in your first 3 months. You know, I'm coaching people right now that are like doing 2,500 a week or
Mhm.
3,000 a week, or you know, um, that's basically to hit those numbers, right? And you're kind of like, but it wasn't soon after your third month, right? With support and systems
Mhm.
and your own perseverance, because that helps a little bit. Seems like that number started to come up, right? And you attribute that to, of course, the market. You may are a very smart businessman picking the right market. I think for anybody um, that we talk to, it's like, hey, how come I'm not able to achieve this level of success? And it's like, well, maybe the conversation should have been had a little bit prior to where you were opening your business, right? If you
Mhm.
open in Farmlands, USA, and you think you're going to do $100,000 a week or 60, it might just not be possible without a tremendous amount of driving. What drove you to just briefly pick the Austin territory? I know that it was the wine startup initially, but like, were you extra confident when you decided to move into the gutter business when you knew that you were already in Austin, Texas? Was that exciting for you, or
Absolutely. I was, I mean, I would say the Austin market, again, I mean, we moved here because of the market. We moved here for the wine startup, like you mentioned, opportunity here. It's just a
Denver?
different world here
Yeah.
in Austin compared to a lot of the country. So yes, and when I was looking at, all right, so I knew that after the wine thing, I wanted to start my own thing. And I just had the feeling that if you had a decent plan, a decent system set up, and you could execute the customer service and the quality of the product, that it would be easy to be successful because there's enough work to go around. And if you make the name for yourself that you're the go-to customer service company there, we're a people company, right? We put up
Yeah.
gutters, but we're in the people business. And that's what I mean, regardless of industry that you're in, if you can understand how to interact with customers and people, yes, you need to hire the right people that have the experience to execute for you, but customer service, if you can do that and bring on the right people to do the production, then you can be very successful because not many companies can execute at that level. And that's what was exciting about Austin. Is like there's so much opportunity here
Yep.
that just give me a little piece to start and I'll show you what I can do. And that's kind of how we built it.
I
So
love that. That's a great mod. Just give me a little piece. I think Austin is that should be a good slogan for Austin. Like, just give me a little piece. I don't mean on 6th Street late night. I mean a business. There's some pieces happening all over 6th Street these days. It's getting a little wild. So we don't need any more people moving to Austin trying to open gutter businesses. I think we have this covered. Speaking of execution of plans, so would it be safe to say that you feel like you've had some pretty large milestones in the gutter business for your last 2 years? And let's just equate that to any type of business, because from obviously I'm on the inside looking in, but from the outside looking in, if I were to look at your numbers, at least top line, right? Like what you've done is fantastic. It really is. I've been in the business a long time, and you don't see these kind of numbers even from where I was the two places before yours. I was setting records and coming over here. Now we're breaking records again. I think it's pretty phenomenal.
yeah, that's in my wildest dreams, year one, having the revenue we had, I would have been like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, if you'd have
Um,
told me that, I'd have told you no,
yeah,
probably.
yeah,
Mhm.
especially again because so you came on board October of last year, so
Yep.
we 10 months of
You guys were pretty well wrapped up. You were going to do what you were going to do.
yeah, and I think if you've stated it, like it was a record for new franchises within the Brothers brand. Obviously, this
Let's
year
tell the
we're gonna
people this man did $1.5 million in his first year of gutter business with good support from the brand. The brand offers good support.
Mhm.
He had to be level headed to make that happen. He didn't have a lot of experience in the production side or the sales side. And maybe I accentuated some things in the past 3 months, but really I think we were getting positioned to start some new things the following year. Hats off to you for that, Kip. That was a huge achievement. And then
Yeah.
to come in this year and do 2.5-ish million dollars, give or take.
Yeah.
And we're not done. We could end at 2.7. Who knows? We have a lot of work right now.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the execution of plans. So go ahead and take the lead on that. Execution of plans.
Yeah. So again, we go back to, we've got our budget. We know what we want to do. We're kind of starting there. So, the vision is we want to grow this company to be a major player in Central Texas, whatever, what that looks like. It's not just Austin. It's like we want to be the biggest and the most successful gutter company in Central Texas. And what does that look like, right? So is it reviews, is it revenue, is it trucks on the road, is it all those things? And you kind of put that into what would we talk about vision, right? So what is the vision? Where do we want to go? Do we want to just have 30 trucks on the road and just pumping it out, or do we want to have fewer trucks on the road and doing it at a higher margin? Those are things that you and I
Still
kind of
pumping it out.
Yeah, we just keep kind of working through what that really looks like. So yeah, it starts with the vision, the plan, and then around that building the parameters of how that gets done. So execution, right? So with you, we talk a lot about core values and what these are the values of our company. And when we do that, we say, all right, we want to achieve this, but we want to do it within these parameters, right?
Correct.
So, because we don't want to go out and just buy business to buy business. We want to do it the right way. We want to do right by our customers and continue to be successful with that. So the execution of the plan comes from, all right, so this is what we want to do. Grant, we're looking at the budget. To hit our goal, we're going to need 10 feet on the street, whatever that may be, right? So give you that information, let you, and also, I mean, again, you're involved in that process. It's not like I come up with a number and say, go do it. I say, I do first pass, right? So I was like, this is what I'm thinking, whatever, let's, what's realistic.
We have really high level communication, right?
Yeah.
So like obviously that's something we're talking about in our mastermind for the guys that want to achieve the same level of success. It can't just be a dictatorship. Everybody's got to be bought in, right? And the smaller companies that don't have high level management like you've been able to achieve through your hiring of me and through some of your own execution style stuff coming from corporate America that is systematized very well. They kind of already have to just tell everybody on the team exactly what to do and how to do it. And we talk about that being like wearing way too many hats, right? And also like not getting people bought in on the vision. People are bought in on the vision. The executables are a little bit easier executed because people believe in them, right? They sound like ways to create success versus just orders. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally agree. And I would say this as an owner, it's extremely difficult to just, I wouldn't say let things go, but to hand things off. So, your mindset as an owner is like, this is my business. I have this vision. I know exactly what I want. This is the way I want things done. And that's great. You can do well with that, but you can't scale that way. You'll never get beyond just one thing if that's all you're doing. If you can't get to the point where you're giving people the opportunity to execute on what it is your plan, like you again. So if I give you the plan, I know you're going to execute on it. I don't necessarily have to be involved in how you're doing it or what you're doing with it. Like, what did you say to Jason about this one thing? Like, I don't need to know that, right? Now, if there's things, obviously you let me know when I do need to be involved. But that's, again, so from the hard part of being an owner is letting go. And once
and I think that we talk about it constantly, right? The key position that I need to be in to be successful, to be allowed literally to continue to have that freedom, as I call it, you hear me speak about, is learning your heart, right? It's no different than the guys working under me, the head installers, like when they get into an icky situation with the customer, whether it be the customer's emotions, feelings, something that wasn't miscommunicated. After a certain amount of time working together, we learn each other's heart. They go, maybe I don't have to call Grant because I nicked the deck. I already know what he's going to say. let's just hire someone to fix the deck, or, whatever it may be. Like, but at first it's kind of touch and feel, like, what
Mhm.
would Kip do? Should I give him that 10,000th call again today when we just hung up? Because I think we're really starting to find that chemistry, right? Because that's anybody in a management's position should be able to, at a certain level, make calls and decisions for the owner, because the idea of this is to, let's be frank, is to truly to have a passive business for you. And
Right,
if it's passive for you, I make more money because I'm
right.
taking on more responsibility, and it just trickles down all the line, and that's called scaling, right? Scaling
Yeah.
trust. Let's talk challenges and solutions. We're big on that. We face challenges all the time, regardless of your excellent business skills and my many years of experience in gutters. It doesn't mean that we don't get thrown curveballs.
Right.
Sometimes we go days without a pitch, and we're hitting home runs on everything. And sometimes I don't think we strike out much, though. Talk to me a little bit about, like, maybe a recent challenge that we've had, and it could be anything. This is Gutter Growth podcast, so I'd
Yep.
like to keep it in the parameter of giving them some education. Let's talk about a financial challenge. That's I think a good challenge, something that we said, what can we do to create a better financial situations for ourselves? And you were like,
Yep.
you thought about it and you just made it happen.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's a it's an old saying, but it's a very true saying. It takes money to make money, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you're not investing in equipment, people, processes, place procedures, all these things, then you're just going to be trying to do it through brute force labor, and that burns people out. That's a lot of work. So you got to do the right thing. So what is it? What does it financially look like? So this summer, right? Payroll. We got we got payroll every week. We got to make payroll, right? So we did have a little bit of I don't want to belittle the fact that we're going to do 2.5 million, but we were a little slower this summer, and that's when we kind of doubled down.
Yeah, you
we
did.
we said, all right, well, we're slow, or let's do a bulk buy with Spectra. All right, we did a bulk buy. Now we need a forklift or something to move all this stuff around with,
Yep.
right? So in the slow periods, we were investing financially in the equipment, the supplies, the materials to do that, because we knew, it was going to pick back up. Rain hit. We got all the work we
Yeah.
want, and we're doing it at a price point that's much lower because we could buy when other people weren't.
Yep.
So those are the kinds of things from a financial perspective that we like to do. But it's not all roses, and I think that's something that you and I, we can agree on. There's times where something goes wrong on a job, or the salesperson had the conversation with the customer, but it wasn't quite relayed the way, and then the installers, because I would say our biggest, if we have a challenge with something, it's usually communication. And that's our
Communication.
biggest key, right?
Absolutely.
So we want to talk about communication between owner to director of operations to sales to production, to production manager to office manager. All of that again comes back to, so if you want to go from just one truck, one guy, you have to be able to execute on the communication. And when we do have hiccups, there was a breakdown in communication somewhere.
Yeah. And are you a believer of, like, just like post-it notes all over your desk, or keeping it all in your head like some people? Or are there processes in place?
Yes,
There's processes, right?
absolutely.
Systems.
Absolutely. Let's get it out of our heads, right? So out of our heads, off of the post-its. My wife's a big post-it fan, but she just notes in general, as you know. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so the process is document
Document,
as
document,
much as
document.
you possibly can without trying to
Well,
write a book,
there's
right?
no overkill, right? And
Yeah.
so that's another place that you need to invest, right? Is in a CRM or the app. Hey, we're coming out with the Gutter app for you
Mhm.
guys that aren't doing several $1 million already a year, because there's certain systems at different price points. I think you know that from just being in corporate America, and you're
Mhm.
seeing that now. Obviously, the brothers, I think that um I'll just say that I believe on the systems end, we've pretty much got that figured out and
Yep.
mastered.
Yeah.
Things can always grow and get better, but our partnership with the CRM, I've watched it evolve over the past 4 or 5 years. It just keeps getting, and we tried to take a different turn for a little bit, and that was a huge process. And I think we could
Mhm.
all look back and go, I wish we did or didn't. But we learned something along that line, right? That we liked what we had, and that's what was working. And so we dove into that. But that all costs money too, right? So you can't run a gutter business to without spending money. You just can't.
No, and I mean, it's really hard, especially if you're just doing pen and paper and spreadsheets and, all that, you can make it work, but systems are the path to scaling, and there's 100% that. So if you don't have a CRM, you need to get one. Grant's got a great one, and internally for us with the brothers, we have a great one. It works for us. We know exactly what we're doing. We know the schedule. We know who's going where. We know all those things. So you definitely have to invest in that if you want to grow your business.
Tell us a little bit here about our partnership here, our partnership partner perspective.
Yeah.
And just talk just briefly here about what was your decision to do that? Why did you do that? What did you feel why did you feel that that was a good decision to approach this that way versus hey, here's $10 an hour, let's get going.
Well, I look at it, this business can be difficult. Customers can be difficult. Retention can be hard. And in order to have somebody who really feels bought in, you got to refer to them as the partner, right? So when you talk about partnership, it's like, how do I get somebody who's not just like, to your point, a $10 an hour, do this thing, just go execute it 40 hours a week. Thank you very much. Go on about your day. Like, if you're not invested in it, if you're not passionate about it, you can get by, but we talk about growth, right? Scale and growth. Like, I don't want to just go do what I'm doing today, and then next year we're doing the same thing. That's just not the way to do it. So what I looked at with our, talking to you and the partnership of how do we get to the point where, I mean, I remember our conversation. I was like, I'm running around every day taking coal to jobs. I'm putting out fires. I got customers who are needing some FaceTime, things like that. And it was, like, how do I bring on somebody with 25 years, right? 25 years of experience, bring them on and have them help me execute my vision, right? So the biggest fear or concern when you bring on somebody with your background and experience is that you're going to lose your company to them, right? So, and when I say that is like, you know what you're doing, you know how to execute it. You've done it before at multiple companies. You've done all these things. But what you didn't do is come in and say, okay, you're doing everything wrong, and this is what I need to fix, right? Obviously you evaluated our system, but you didn't come in with, I'm totally going to redo everything you're doing, and I think what you did was crap. You didn't do that, right?
Right.
So that was, I think, for us, the beginning of trust in what you and I could do together was, right, this is what I'm looking to do. You know how to do it. How do we kind of collaborate to get to where we both want to be? And it's just been over the course of the past year, conversations, outside of work, inside of work, all the time, just communicating and understanding and learning each other. Like you say, your heart, my heart. We want to be at a place where you believe in the vision that I have, and you know how to execute it. And I think we've gotten to that. Obviously in the beginning, it's like a blind date, right?
Yep.
You got to learn each other. You got to feel that out. But the trust was quickly there because, again, you came in not looking to change everything. You came in with a very big servant's heart, and that's what has probably been the best part of the success that we've had, is just us, kind of giving to each other.
Yeah,
I don't
for
know
sure.
if it makes sense for you, but
Yeah, no, it absolutely does make sense.
And just I do what I add to that.
Yeah.
So just talking about what that journey looks like over the past year, right? So we were in essentially an office park when you came on board.
Yes.
Right. We had 9-foot ceilings and a drop ceiling, so you couldn't stand downspout boxes up. I was locked into a nasty lease with these folks, and it was doable for 2 trucks, but it was not perfect. And you really helped push the vision to, if you really want to get to this level, you're gonna have to do something else. And you
Yeah.
didn't do it in like, this is never going to work. It was like, selling it on the idea of, this is how you grow. Here's an opportunity. It's going to cost money, but we're going to get, what is your vision really? Do you want to just get by today, or do you want to get to where you're saying you want to get to? And I appreciate the coaching through that process.
Yeah, I mean, you were able to like understand exactly what I was saying and just make it happen. So that was a great feeling for me. I was like, okay, this guy's on board with growth. And then we went ahead and just got more locations. We're prepared, if we wanted to full blow this thing, if we get too busy and, we want to hire more guys, like we can turn this up. I say that like humbly, but we can turn this thing up. We could double it if we really wanted to. Now we know what happens when you grow too fast,
Mhm.
right? The systems aren't in place, the support isn't in place. So, we're learning in real time. We know what not to do. But I think that's an awesome problem to have, to say, like, if we wanted to double our company size right now, we have the people calling us and asking us for the work. It's a little bit lower price than what we want, but we know our limitations. But if like we didn't want to be slow at all, we could probably be booked out for a really long time. Hey, looking ahead, so we're gonna probably try to go for what, $8 million next year? No, I'm joking. Um,
I would love to, but no.
would love to. Um, Give me like your biggest business lesson learned, and let's throw a spin on it and um say, like, as far as what is your biggest business lesson learned as far as dealing with your immediate employees?
Immediate employees is, the biggest lesson learned is, obviously, I've always done it. So this is not necessarily a lesson learned, but what you learn from it is, so treat the people, like they're not robots. They're not, a cog in the machine. They are people with feelings. They are not perfect. Sometimes they're extremely excited about things. Sometimes it's a tough day. Understanding people is huge, but the business perspective of that is, you can execute that extremely well and still have somebody come in and say, yeah, I'm moving on. Right. So,
Right.
the better you treat them, the less likely that is to happen. But at the end of the day, people have to take care of their needs. And I totally respect that. Right. So I think from a people perspective, and I'll say this about people, business, and everything, the biggest lesson I've learned is planning for the inevitable.
Hmm.
Right. So people will potentially leave. There's going to be an issue on a job that's going to be a problem. So like, there's going to be a truck that breaks down. There's you just have to plan for the fact that there will be roadblocks, or bumps in the road along the way. And when you plan for that, it's not like a freak out that it happened. Like, oh, we stepped on somebody's plan at a house. Like, oh my, like, installers, what are you doing? I can't believe you do that. It's like, nope. We'll have the conversation, right, guys? Be respectful of that. But all right, let's go take care of that customer's plant. That's
Yep.
it.
Yep.
It's not let's spend time trying to figure out what went wrong and all that other. It's like, all right, it was a thing. It's fine. We've addressed it. We're going to go make it right with the customer and move on. Same thing with like flat tire on a truck.
Yep.
Gonna happen, right? You're gonna have blowouts. You're gonna have your machines. Sometimes your machine's just gonna stop working in the middle of a job. That kind of thing happens. So what's your backup plan? What do you do? How do you kind of lean into the idea that's not going to stop me from billing that day? I'm not going to not have that revenue. So what is
Correct.
it?
Yep.
So what do
Yep.
we
Yep.
do? Right? We got
Yep.
we got a backup trailer, right?
Yep. Yeah, we
Not
got
everybody's in
backup
that
plan.
position,
Yeah,
but
having a
what's the
backup plan
plan,
for
right?
pretty much everything, right? So
Yeah. So I think that's my biggest lesson learned, is to be able to take the emotion out of the bumps
mm,
and just understand they're coming, and just take a level head, understand what, evaluate the situation, and I think come up with a solution, right?
absolutely. Kip, I really appreciate you. I know Gutter Growth appreciates you giving us just a couple minutes of your time. Hopefully, you'd be interested in doing this again. I'd love to share some margin conversations with the crowd, with the man of your caliber, for anybody that doesn't know, I am learning a tremendous amount of new ways to do things. I'm a lifelong learner. As most of you know, I'm a gutter coach as well, but it doesn't mean that this man right here is not teaching me a tremendous amount of stuff. So there's always a coach behind the coach. Kipp, I absolutely appreciate you sharing some of your Saturday with me, and hopefully we could do this again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Grant.
Take care, man. Have a good one.
All right, bye.